432 Hz, known as Verdi's A, is an alternative tuning that is mathematically consistent with the universe. Music based on 432 Hz transmits beneficial healing energy because it is a pure tone of math fundamental to nature. According to Amanda Bosman, international researcher and musician, archaic Egyptian instruments that have been unearthed are largely tuned to A 432 Hz. Ancient Greeks tuned their instruments predominantly to 432 Hz. Giuseppe Verdi, an Italian composer, used 432 Hz tuning. He did this because this tuning is ideal for opera. Jamie Bertorff, sound researcher, found out that some Tibetan monks used this tuning in their handmade instruments. He put a CD with Tibetan singing bowls into his player and used a Korg tuner to discover that the bowls were all harmonic to the 432 music scale. What I feel I must also point out at this stage of the video is that there is an ongoing debate right now as to whether the Schumann resonance is rising after remaining at 7.83 Hz for thousands of years. It is reported as steadily rising since the 1960s, reaching 12 Hz by 1987, even peaking, although not sustaining, a frequency of 50 Hz around 2016-2017. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail here, as this would just add another hour or maybe much more onto the video, not to mention the time needed in the rabbit hole of research. I'm already on my 8th week of working on this video. It is said that 440 Hz frequency music actually conflicts with some of our chakras that reside from the base of the spine to the heart. It is also said that this music stimulates the ego and left brain function, which can suppress our intuition. Many believe, including myself, that 432 Hz vibrates with the universe's golden mean and unifies the properties of light, time, space, matter, gravity, and magnetism with biology, the DNA code, and consciousness. When our atoms and DNA start to resonate in harmony with the spiraling pattern of nature, our sense of connection to nature is said to be magnified. The number 432 is also reflected in ratios of the sun, earth, and moon, as well as the precession of the equinoxes, the Great Pyramid of Egypt, Stonehenge, and the Sri Yantra, among many other sacred sites. Our modern music instruments are also now tuned to 440 Hz, which is slightly out of sync from the original solfeggio frequencies and is consequently more dissonant. A 7th note was also added to the modern scale in the form of a C or a T, as in the Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti vocal scale, while the original solfeggio scale was composed of only 6 notes: Ut, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La. Many musicians, however, are retuning their instruments back to 432 Hz. I am one of these musicians. In fact, the music that you are now listening to on this video is partly my music, and it is tuned to 432 Hz. I gave up writing and listening to music for many years, and I attributed this to other factors, but I'm now beginning to wonder if my body had just had enough of the 440 Hz tuning, because I only recently began again to make music, and of course I then discovered the 432 Hz tuning. Here are 2 short pieces of music demonstrating the difference between 440 Hz and 432 Hz. This is a recording by David Helpling called Sticks and Stones. The choice of title is not lost on me. This is the song tuned to 440 Hz. Subsequent experiments conducted by Tom Danley in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid and in chambers above the King's Chamber suggest that the pyramid was constructed with a sonic purpose. Danley identifies 4 resident frequencies or notes that are enhanced by the structure of the pyramid and by the materials used in its construction. The notes form an F-sharp chord. Moreover, Danley's tests show that these frequencies are present in the King's Chamber even when no sounds are being produced. They are there in frequencies that range from 16 Hz down to half a hertz, well below the range of human hearing. According to Danley, these vibrations are caused by the wind blowing across the ends of the so-called shafts, in the same way that sounds are created when one blows across the top of a bottle. Pythagoras, who is credited with explaining musical harmonics to the Western world, is reputed to have described a stone as frozen music. He knew nothing of physics, but intuited that the mathematics of frequency, which occur in processes such as planetary rotations, cycles of the seasons, right down to the atomic world of elemental matter, are not just lifeless pieces of data, but reveal movements, rhythms, relationships, and meanings which may be loosely translated as stories. Stories in turn generate meanings and artistic expression. The word mathema comes from the Old French mathine, to be aware, to awaken. 3 things have been changed in history to keep us away from using these frequencies. Number 1, the ancient music scale was altered. Instead of the original 6 notes of the solfeggio frequencies, they added a 7th, thus steering us away from the solfeggio frequencies. Number 2, modern music instruments were retuned to A440 Hz as opposed to the ancient A432 Hz, taking us away from the Schumann resonance. Number 3, Pythagorean tuning was replaced by equal temperament. Of course, not forgetting the fact that the solfeggio frequencies were conveniently lost. Doesn't this make you wonder? By the way, just as a side note, I also noticed something with the logo changes. You know, the ones with the weird upside down V's and A's, etc., such as Adobe, Saturn, NASA. I know some have linked these to the Freemason symbol, but has anyone ever considered the following? If you take the upside down V and then make a copy of it and flip it vertically so that you get a long diamond shape, what this reminds me of is the diamond-shaped Utron made out of 2 ice cream cones that was used in Otis T. Carr's flying craft. But let's take this one step further and flip it over again, but this time horizontally. And guess what? We now get a complete frequency wave. The NASA logo, by the way, flip-flopped in the last week. I know this because I checked the logos specifically for this part of the video. This morning I woke up to a post in my group about the flip-flop, so I went to check the logo on my hard drive. It's not there anymore. During the course of making this video, I had numerous synchronicities. One could argue, of course, that because this is what I'm focusing on, this is what I notice more around me. Fine, but please explain how I receive a phone call out of the blue from someone with whom I have very little personal contact, and I find out at the end of a 2-hour conversation that he is a frequency and resonance expert. I also got more than enough 1111 signs to convince me it was more than coincidence. And another person messages me out of the blue with just this message, quote, "I have been hearing a lot about Schumann resonance lately," unquote. To be perfectly honest, I really do not know if the singing stones or the speaking stones is an ME, which is the initial reason I started this video. But I don't care at this point anymore. That's something you can decide for yourselves. The information I have accumulated around this is far too important not to spread. So please don't focus too much on the Mandela aspect or whether it is or it isn't an ME. Focus on the message, and as I say in all of my videos, I have provided links and sources below in the description. Do your own research and decide for yourselves. This information is not new. All I did was put it together and paint a more detailed picture on a smaller palette. It is interesting to note, for those of us who have been affected by the geographical changes, that all the sacred geometry still work on New Earth. The point is, there are people saying that the singing stones are an ME themselves, that this was not there before. And if so, why has this phenomenon now appeared? Is it to show us that we are getting closer to tapping into this knowledge? I don't agree that these are signs warning us of impending disaster, but rather potential disaster if we don't heed the signs. I think we are seeing these signs not so much because they have been left for us, but more because we are now willing and open to see them, and that the message is for us to return to our origins, and that we stop living the way we are living and learn and accept and embrace our heritage, our birthright, to start living on a higher frequency and to tap into those frequencies and energies. Someone said to me a while ago, follow the money. Is this what it's all about? Were we really created by the Sumerians to be slaves for their gold mines? Even today, with the monetary system, they still have us enslaved through debt while they run around with their pockets lined with gold. Is this what we are supposed to learn? If it's true, and we were created in, quote, the image of the Anunnaki, unquote, then doesn't that mean that we have the same power as them if we are in their image? And if the Anunnaki did live among us, is it possible that we are the descendants, which would also mean that we have the same power in our DNA and the same bloodline? Some are connecting these things to the Ezra prophecy. I'm more inclined to think it is the Hopi prophecy. Quote, the messages will be found written in the living stone through the sacred grains, unquote. But my message from this video remains the same and is even supported by the Hopi prophecy. The return of the blue star Kachina, who is also known as Nanga Sohu, will be the alarm clock that tells us of the new day and new way of life, a new world that is coming. This is where the changes will begin. They will start as fires that burn within us, and we will burn up with desires and conflict if we do not remember the original teachings and return to the peaceful way of life, unquote. If we do not remember the original teachings. And with this statement, I rest my case and would like to leave you with this last video. Thank you for your patience and sticking with the video till the end. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all on the next video.
The film you are about to see has no characters. If you spare a little of your imagination, it is a film to describe to you the effect of cymatic frequencies on matter. owes its existence solely and completely to sound.